Today, we wanted to talk about the new technology that Leslie told you about, the quick information portals. And she probably told you about QI codes, and the QI stands for quick information. So I want to give you a little bit of background about what Dr. Broselow saw that was missing and how the technology was developed to address that problem. So if you look at the adult learner, so that would be either professionals or your family members of your patients. You know, traditionally we learned in classrooms and spread out in courses over weeks or months. And you really did a deep dive into the topic. So if it was history of Western civilization, you learned the whole history of Western civilization. In a structured classroom environment at a defined place and time. And as soon as the textbooks were printed, they were out of date, right? So that's how we kind of grew up learning, and that's I'm sure your educational programs for nursing and social work were designed that way. I know my nursing program was. But then you think of us outside of a structured educational environment, and you think about how people learn now and learn on the job. They want just the focused and the concise information of what they're looking for. So anytime I buy something now, I end up going to YouTube to see if there's a video on how to assemble it rather than going through the manual, right? It's usually to accomplish a task that I want to do, you know, learn how to do something new or learn how to fix something. And it's all self-directed. You know, I've decided I need to know this, and so I'm going to go search out the information. I think as a group, we're more comfortable with technology than we ever have been. But that's brought to mind that we really want the media that fits our learning style. So some people learn by reading, some people learn by a video, some people learn by reviewing things over and over and over. But the main thing is that we want instant access to that information wherever we are. And you can think about, you know, this picture of the infusion pumps. What the learner wants to know right then is how do I fix this alarm that's going off, or how do I troubleshoot this, or and you don't want to have to go find a manual or a book and figure out how to do that. But when you think about the challenges of this new environment, searching the web takes time, you know, and if it's information that you need in a hurry, even looking at Google can take a while. And if you think about your patients' families searching the web for medical information, the information they get might not be accurate, or it might be, you know, sometimes they go to those crowdsourced sites to get information, or their neighbor tells them something that might be different than what the medical professionals would tell them. And if you do find something on Google, it's sometimes hard to save that for later review. I think that's why Pinterest is such a godsend, because it's easy to save and pin what you want to go back to later, but that's can be hard. And then if you're not English speaking, it can be really hard to find information in a hurry. We sometimes look at manuals or printing information or even brochures or flyers, that kind of stuff, but that gets out of date right away. And then disseminating that information, if it's some information on a pediatric congenital disease, trying to get information out to those patients or those professionals and disseminating that can cost some money by the time you print and mail and email and update and revise. So there's some challenges there. So what Dr. Broselow did was think about how could we use a familiar technology, which is the QR code, and enhance that so it fits more into how people want to get information today. Does that overview kind of make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's another picture of Jim, so you can see him on this side of your screen or this side of your screen. But there's the Broselow tape, and then this is Safe Dose, which was a breakthrough because he recognized there was a barcode or a QR code on every vial of medication. So he developed an app where you could scan that barcode and get dosage information, administration information, mixing instructions, what to watch for. in each of the color codes by weight. And so it was that looking at the QR code that kind of sparked the idea. So from that came what we call QIPs, or quick information portals. So think of the QR code as just a way to get to the information, just like you use a QR code to get to a menu these days, right? So the real innovation is in the platform that code goes to, right? So what it allows you to do is take a collection of information that you determine is accurate and that maybe is focused on a single topic, and you can attach that whole collection of things to a single code. So the typical QR code, it just is basically a typewriter. It types in the web address that you want the person to go to. This will take you to multiple locations, and I'll show you some examples of how it's used, and I think it'll make a little bit more sense. But the benefit of that is that you can put things in all different media types and different languages, all on a single code. And your user doesn't have to search for the information on the web, because you've determined what information is important and shared the code with them. On the back end, you can swap out those items, add, subtract, update. So the information is current, but you never have to reprint the code. You never have to regenerate the code. So I don't know if you've ever printed a flyer or something and had a QR code on it, and then the link breaks the code. And so it's printed and you've got all of them available, but it doesn't go anywhere when people try to scan it. This way you can change the information and never have to mess with the website or redirect it or worry about it being broken. And it doesn't take any extra technology for the learner, because it's a cell phone camera or a QR scanner on the floor. Easy to access the information. So let me show you a quick example of it. And I have a code on the screen that you can just point your phone at and scan it. And I'll let you do that. And that will give you a good example of how it works. And then we can talk about the different applications of it. So go ahead, and sometimes it's a little tricky on a screen. It'll pop up with a link to the internet Bros code. So let me know when you see it. Oh, good, you got it.
Yeah, it worked first try. It wasn't tricky.
Yes, me too.
I love that. Okay, so you can see these things are called QIPs. So the first one is, what is a concussion, the signs and symptoms. And if you click on those tabs, you go to the content. And then you use the buttons on the phone to go back to where you were. So you could see giving something like this to a family with a kid who's come in with a bike accident or a sports injury. Tells them what to watch for, what to tell the schools. I took this information from the CDC website, but this, you would easily swap in whatever information for whatever topic you wanted. There's some videos in there that you can watch. And at the very bottom is where you select your language. So I've got some things that are, if you select Spanish, you'll see the information in Spanish. And this is great for when you're handing information to families. You don't have to find a Spanish version that's printed. All the codes are the same. Oh. So you just hand it to them and they pick their language. And it's unlimited numbers of language. So if you've got the content in 17 languages, we can build it that way.
That's great.
But these are really, really easy to use, because it's the same code just reprinted over and over and over. Yeah. So it's very inexpensive, and it's a scalable way to do it. The other thing to think about is that once you've scanned that to your phone, you can email it from there or text it to somebody or save it to your notes. So it's, Dr. Broselow said, it's kind of a way that you're migrating that information to your own device. Mm-hmm. So you're saving it for you to share or to view later or to review. So it's, it takes that information that all that content that you have on the website that's so good, and gives you a way to just hand that to your patients.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually thinking that, Robin, as you were talking. I teach nursing students clinically, and this day and age, everything is on their phone and on their computers. They're even going to classes, in Zoom for 8 hours on their computers. And this just teaching them about different aspects. If I was doing a concussion lecture, or then they would have these resources in their mobile device instead of another piece of paper, something that they can look at later. They can look at in the Uber on the way to clinical, on the way home. If you're teaching someone quickly, you're only retaining so much information at once, so it's something they can go back to. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That one of the things in education now is the flipped classroom. So you study about things before you go to the lecture or before you go to the Zoom meeting. So something like this with like nursing students would be great to do something like, this is the topic and read these things, and here's what we're going to cover. Come prepared to discuss how you've approached this in the past. So, and then you can always go back and look at it. And then the next time you teach that course, if you want to tweak it, you just go in and trade out some of the documents or links that you've put in, and the code stays the same. So you don't have to reprint it. I really like this when you think about how parents might just be overwhelmed when they're getting information, either from the ER or from inpatient, and to know that I've got that to look at later. Discharge instructions would be great. Or can't have family members in with COVID, so you're expecting mom to tell dad the information. This way, they're all getting correct information. So the other examples I have in here have codes for you to scan and look at later. But I just wanted to take some extra time here so you could kind of see how it worked.